What's up, everybody? What's up? I am just here looking to see if my sound sounds good. So just want to make sure that everybody can hear me if you are on this. So by the time you join this, if you can hear me, go ahead and hit that thumbs up. Just want to talk about Salesforce interview questions. So go ahead and if you're watching this, tell me if you have any questions as far as what you want to learn about Salesforce interview questions. So I'll just go ahead and get it started without talking too much about it. So when you're looking at Salesforce interviews, you want to make sure that you are as prepared as possible by understanding the framework about any Salesforce job. Or any Salesforce project or implementation. So every Salesforce implementation follows pretty much the same structure. So there's always a framework for every project you do. So you want to start thinking about every Salesforce job as starting off with data. So if I could share my screen here, I would show you the Salesforce admin exam guide. So if you're watching this, go ahead and pop up the Salesforce admin exam guide. I'm going to pop that up over here. You can't see it where I'm at, but basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to just go ahead and pull up the Salesforce admin exam guide so you can start to see the framework behind every Salesforce project out there. So let's go ahead and pull that up. I'm pulling it up right now. So for the Salesforce Administrator exam, pull that exam outline up. And when we look at this exam outline, I want you to think about how it's structured. So for the Salesforce admin exam, we have configuration and setup, which is 20% of the exam, object manager and lightning app builder, another 20%, sales and marketing applications, 12%, service and support apps, productivity and collaboration, data and analytics management, and workflow and process automation. So what I do to understand the framework behind every Salesforce implementation is I create all of those outlines, all of those sections on the exam guide, and I put them in a very strategic order. So I'll just tell you the first thing I would look at if I'm doing a Salesforce implementation, I'm thinking about configuration and setup, which is 20% of the exam. So why am I thinking of configuration and setup as the first part of any Salesforce implementation? Because Salesforce is trying to test you on the Salesforce admin exam to see if you understand how to actually build a project out. They want to see if you understand how to go on a client site or be a consultant, and they want to see if you understand how to actually go there and build a project or do an implementation. So with that being said, what they're doing on the exam outline is they're testing to see if you understand that structure. So the first thing for any Salesforce implementation or any Salesforce project is configuration and setup. So under configuration and setup, you're going to need to know about fiscal, business hours, currency management, default settings. Why am I telling you all this? Why am I going to the exam outline and the video title is Salesforce admin interview questions or Salesforce interview questions? Why is that? What's the correlation there? You may be wondering that. Well, the correlation is when you're going on these projects or when you're going to actually go get these jobs, when you're looking for the types of questions that somebody could ask you, it's literally all based around how projects are created. So if I'm a hiring manager, think about it like this. I'm a hiring manager. First of all, I probably don't know as much about Salesforce unless I'm a Salesforce expert myself. And a lot of people who are hiring managers for Salesforce don't really even know Salesforce. So they're looking for you to come on and actually talk about the product in a way that lets them know that you know more about Salesforce than they do, if that makes sense. So they're looking to see that you know more about Salesforce than them. So what you need to do is you need to know what's on this exam outline, and you need to know how the projects are structured. So let's just say that I'm a hiring manager and I say, hey, Kaylin, or hey, Bob, or whoever it is that's coming in for the job interview. Hey, I need you to just tell me a little bit about how to set up users in Sales Cloud. Okay, you might be thinking, how do I do that? How do I do it? What you need to think about is, where do users get set up in Sales Cloud? That's going to be in configuration and setup. So you're going to need to think about, when I'm configuring and I'm setting up Sales Cloud, or I'm creating objects, I have to think about, where do users come into that process? So whenever you start thinking about the exam outline, you have to start thinking about where these interview questions actually fit into the exam outline. So if I get a question like, hey, how do I create users in Sales Cloud? Well, I'm going to go back to the exam outline. I'm going to think about this bullet point that says, given a scenario, demonstrate the proper setup and maintenance of users. So you got to think about that. You see, that's literally the key right there. I can remember where users were at in the configuration and setup portion of the exam outline for Salesforce admin. So I'm going to think, okay, I know it's in configuration and setup. Okay, how did I configure and how did I set up a user? Okay, I'm going to go to the setup menu inside of Sales Cloud. I'm going to go behind the scenes. Remember, you have to go behind the scenes. You have to go to the setup menu. You have to type in users in that search bar, and then you have to click on users, and then you have to click new user, and then you have to put in the first name, the last name, the email address, the license that person's going to have, the where is that person going to be located? Who's their manager that they're going to roll up to? You're going to have to, and then you can think about all that because you remember it was on that configuration and setup portion of the test. Now let's just go to another portion of the test, like workflow and process automation. So what you're going to need to do for this is just remember, if they ask you a question about flows, or if they ask you a question about process builder or about workflow rules, or the approval process, you're going to have to remember that's in the workflow and process automation section of the exam outline. And where does that come in whenever you're implementing a project? I'm going to do another part of this live just to show you guys a little bit more about how to really think about this stuff. I guess for this video, for this live, I want to just talk about really, how to actually approach interviews based on the exam outline. So a lot of this stuff that I'm talking about is going to be based off of this exam outline. So let's just say a hiring manager was to say, so when do you use a process builder versus a flow? So what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to understand when process builder is going to be used and when flow is going to be used. Why would you use one over the other? So once you understand the exam outline really well, you're going to understand how to actually answer these questions, because you understand the exam outline so well that you can transfer what you've learned from the Salesforce admin exam onto these interview questions. I'll give you an example. So when I first started off in the Salesforce ecosystem, I remember going through the Salesforce admin beginner trail mix, the Salesforce admin intermediate trail mix, and the Salesforce admin advanced trail mix. And what I did was I went through all of those modules. I went through all the units. I went through all the trails. And I remember thinking to myself, everything I'm going to learn on this outline or on these trails, I'm going to use as, this is what I know from work experience. This is what I know from project experience. And this is what I'm going to use in order to crush my interviews. So I took the exam outline and I took the actual admin trails. And when I was asked those questions, I literally just reverted back to the exam outline and remembered what I studied to pass the exam. And I said, oh, I would use a flow, or I would use profiles over permission sets in this scenario, because I remembered the exam outline and I remembered the admin trail that I did before. So to really help you out to crush Salesforce interview questions, this part 2, I know this is labeled Salesforce admin interview questions or Salesforce interview questions part 2, because I actually did a video on part 1 before this. It wasn't a live, but what I want to show you in this is how to actually think about admin interview questions. I want you to think about how you're going to approach it, because everybody's approaching it like they have to know the exact answer to everything, when in reality, what you need to know is the exam outline for the Salesforce Administrator certification, so that you can go to an interview and you can take what you've learned while you've studied for the Salesforce admin exam, and you can take that and transfer that knowledge over to interview questions, because nothing's going to change. You're not about to be asked anything extra. If you're going for a Salesforce admin job, everything that's on the Salesforce admin exam guide is going to be what you're going to be asked in an interview. There's nothing else to really ask. That's the core feature of every implementation of every project. So there's really nothing else to ask unless you start talking about Apex. But if you start talking about Apex, then you're talking about being a developer. So then you're going to have to start studying for the developer certification. So the long story behind all of this, to shorten it up, is make sure everything that you're learning from the Salesforce admin exam outline, you are taking as if that is an interview question. Because in reality, Salesforce is just interviewing you, and they're quizzing you on what you know about Salesforce when you take the Salesforce admin exam. That's essentially an interview. So what you're actually doing on an actual job interview is you're doing a Salesforce admin test again, but this time to get a job. So think about that. You're doing the Salesforce admin exam to get the certification. So you're studying to get the certification. Use that same process while you're studying for the Salesforce admin cert to get the job, because they're just interview questions. The Salesforce admin exam is just a set of questions to quiz you or to test you on what you know about Salesforce. A job interview is meant to test you on what you know about Salesforce. What sort of knowledge do you have around Salesforce? And I want to debunk something else. You don't have to have years of experience to be a Salesforce admin at a company and get paid $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year. You don't need years of experience for that. So what you do need is you need to know how the system works. Like, for example, if I said, hey, I need you to paint my house. Okay. If you've painted a house before, you've painted a wall before, just even one time, and I said, hey, can you come and paint my wall? And I needed you to paint my wall. Could you paint my wall because you've just done it one time? The same thing applies if you have played around in a Salesforce playground, or you've played around in a Salesforce Trailhead org developer playground. If I'm an interviewer, if I'm a manager, and I'm saying, hey, can you do this? And you've done it even one time in a Salesforce org, you can do it. Debunk the whole myth of you need 5 years of experience, 6. Why do you need, think about it. Why do I need somebody who has 6 years of experience to paint my house? I can teach them exactly what I need. I can have the paint, I can have the can of paint and the paint roller and the paintbrush at the house and say, here, this is what I need you to do. I need you to go up and down. And whenever you're done with that, I need you to go over and I need you to go left and right, or whatever it is, or diagonal. You're going to learn on the job. So all of these myths around you need all this experience to do the Salesforce admin work, it's just not true. It's not true. It is a myth. I promise you, you do not need years of experience to go and get a Salesforce admin job. All you need to do is you need to have done it maybe just one time, or understand the process of how things are done based off of looking at the exam outline, based off of doing trailheads, based off of studying for the Salesforce admin exam. And then when you take your Salesforce admin exam and you pass it, you've already proven to the Salesforce ecosystem that you know Salesforce. So now take that same strategy and go to a job interview. And when they quiz you, you literally have learned Salesforce. Don't forget it. Don't forget what you learned and what you were tested on when you got the Salesforce admin exam. Go to the job interview and take the same knowledge that you had to pass the exam and answer your questions just like you did to pass the Salesforce admin exam. So that's why I said pull up the exam outline for the Salesforce admin exam and study that exam outline. Get that exam outline for the Salesforce admin certification down packed. Just if you can pass a Salesforce admin exam, you can get a Salesforce admin job. I promise you. I promise you, you can get a Salesforce admin job. So if you have any questions, go ahead and leave questions in the comments section. I'm going to stay on for a little bit longer and look to see if I have any more questions, if I have any questions come through. But I really want, there's not a one-stop shop strategy to answering Salesforce interview questions. You can practice this one specific question. You can say, hey, if somebody was to ask me this one thing, how would I answer that? But to be honest with you, what if they don't ask you that question on the job interview? What if they don't ask that? Then you're going to be like, you're going to have studied the entire time on this one question or these two questions that wasn't even asked. So don't waste your time studying one specific question that could be asked. Take the time to understand how Salesforce is set up. And all that is the exam outline. And then understand those bullets underneath every section on the exam outline for the Salesforce admin certification. Just understand what's going on with that. Pass the Salesforce admin cert. If you can pass the Salesforce admin cert, you can pass a job interview questionnaire, because all it is just two questionnaires. Salesforce admin exam is one questionnaire. Salesforce job interview is another questionnaire. And what's the key thing you have to study? You have to study the exam outline. So if you understand the exam outline, you can answer both sets of questions and you understand the core features of marketing or of Sales Cloud. My brain's always in Marketing Cloud. So same concept applies to Marketing Cloud also. So that's really all I've got for you. Go ahead and leave questions in the comments section. If you have any questions after this live stream ends, I'll help you out. I want to help you answer and get a Salesforce admin job, a Marketing Cloud job, a Marketing Cloud email specialist, Marketing Cloud admin job. Doesn't really matter. If you're looking to get a job in the Salesforce ecosystem, go ahead and ask questions. I'm telling you, it's more of a strategy mindset than it is a tactical way to ask questions. You don't want to think all tactics. You don't want to just think tactical. You want to think strategic. And that's the way you're going to really get yourself to passing any Salesforce admin job interview or any Salesforce admin certification or any Salesforce certification. You got to understand the strategy. So take the exam outline, understand the exam outline is the core feature, the core way that you're going to get a project done. The Salesforce admin exam outline is the outline or framework to getting any Salesforce project done. If you understand that, you can do Salesforce. I'm telling you, that's it. That's all it takes. So leave comments in the comments section below. Hopefully this helped you to start thinking strategically about Salesforce admin interview questions. I know you were probably coming on here thinking I'm going to give you a set of questions, when in reality, what you need to do is come in with a different mindset, because you don't know the exact questions that somebody's going to ask you when you're on client site. But then again, if I just gave you the answers and said, hey, here's the questions somebody's going to ask you, and here's the answers you need to say, then I'm not really doing anything for you. What I am doing is I'm giving you a strategy. So no matter which questions you're given at any given time for any job interview, you understand how to actually approach those job interviews. So what's the saying? Teach a man how to fish. And that's what I'm trying to do for you. I'm teaching you how to fish. I'm teaching you how to show up to these job interviews. Just understand the exam outline for Salesforce admin. That also goes with any other Salesforce certification like Marketing Cloud email specialist, Marketing Cloud admin, Marketing Cloud consultant, CPQ consultant, Sales Cloud consultant, Service Cloud consultant, Field Service Lightning. Doesn't really matter. Just study the exam outline. If you can pass a Salesforce certification, then you can pass a job interview. All you really need to do is go and relax. The same problems people have whenever they go into a job interview are the same problems they have when they go and take a Salesforce exam. They're stressed out. They didn't eat right. They didn't sleep right. They're nervous. The same feelings and emotions happen in both scenarios. So go ahead, just take that as a piece of advice and use that to your own benefit when you go into your next Salesforce job interview. That's all I've got. Minute Admin out.